In the late 1800s, far beyond the crowded cities of America, there was a quiet frontier village surrounded by thick forests and endless hills. The village was called Black Hollow. To outsiders, Black Hollow looked peaceful. Wooden houses lined the dirt roads, lanterns glowed warmly in the windows at night, and farmers worked the surrounding fields from sunrise to sunset. It seemed like the kind of place where nothing terrible could ever happen. But every person who lived there knew one rule. After the church bell rang 10 times at night, no one went outside. Doors were locked, windows were sealed, lanterns were blown out, because something walked through Black Hollow after dark. For years, people in the village had been disappearing. It never happened during the day, only after the 10th bell. A hunter who stayed out too late, a traveler who didn't know the rule, a farmer who forgot to close his barn. By morning, they were simply gone. Sometimes there were claw marks in the dirt, sometimes broken fences or torn tracks leading into the forest, but the bodies were never found. People whispered about a beast that lived deep in the woods beyond the village. Some believed it was a giant wolf. Others said it was something far older, something that had been stalking the land long before the village was built. Whatever it was, no one had ever survived seeing it, so the villagers obeyed the rule. When the 10th bell rang, the entire town vanished into silence. Then one autumn evening, a stranger arrived in Black Hollow. His name was Daniel Carter. Daniel had recently moved west, hoping to start a quieter life away from the growing cities. He arrived with only a wagon, a few belongings, and his loyal dog, a large shepherd named Atlas. Atlas had traveled with Daniel for years. Through long, dusty roads and lonely nights on the frontier, the dog never left his side. The villagers welcomed Daniel politely, but something about them felt uneasy. When the sun began to set, people hurried indoors. Shopkeepers shut their doors early. Even the saloon emptied before night had fully fallen. Daniel asked a man outside the general store why everyone seemed so afraid of the dark. The man simply looked at him and said quietly, "Just make sure you're inside before the 10th bell." But Daniel didn't understand. Later that night, after unpacking his belongings, Daniel decided to take Atlas for a short walk through the quiet village streets. The air was calm. The town was silent. Lanterns flickered softly along the road. Then the church bell rang. Once, twice, 3 times. By the time the 10th bell echoed across the valley, Daniel and Atlas were standing near the edge of the forest. That was when Atlas began to growl, low and uneasy. The dog's ears lifted as something moved between the trees. At first, Daniel thought it might be a deer wandering close to town, but then the branches began to break. Slow, heavy footsteps moved through the darkness, and then it stepped into the moonlight. The creature was enormous. Its body resembled a wolf, but twisted and unnatural. Its limbs were too long. Its back hunched strangely. Its jaw stretched wider than any animal should, and its eyes reflected the lantern light like burning glass. Daniel barely had time to react. The beast lunged forward with terrifying speed. Atlas barked and charged, trying to defend his owner, but the creature was too powerful. Within seconds, Daniel was dragged screaming into the darkness of the trees, and then the forest fell silent. Atlas ran. The dog ran all the way back to the small house Daniel had rented. For days, he waited outside the door, refusing to leave. The villagers eventually found Daniel's torn coat near the forest edge, but his body was never recovered. Days passed. Atlas wandered the empty streets, returning again and again to the place where his owner had vanished. Then one night, as the 10th bell rang once more, the dog stood up. Atlas walked slowly through the silent village, past the dark windows, past the empty roads, back to the edge of the forest, back to the place where Daniel had died. The wind moved through the trees, and once again, the branches began to break. The beast had returned. But this time, Atlas did not run. The dog lowered his body and growled. When the creature stepped from the darkness, Atlas charged. The fight was brutal. Claws tore through the dirt as the monster snapped its jaws again and again. But Atlas refused to retreat, driven by loyalty, by grief, and by something stronger than fear. With one final desperate leap, Atlas clamped his jaws around the creature's throat. The beast thrashed violently through the night until at last it collapsed. When the villagers stepped outside the next morning, they found something they had never seen before. The monster that had terrorized Black Hollow for years, lying dead in the dirt.
Saved us.
And beside it,
Look at the size
Atlas,
of it.
wounded and exhausted, but still alive. From that day forward, the 10th bell never brought fear again. The village was finally free, and in the center of Black Hollow, the people built a statue. A statue of a loyal dog standing proudly beneath a lantern. A reminder that sometimes the bravest hero is not a man, but the friend who refuses to leave his side.